The French have a long history of designing and producing their own military equipment. They have built their own ships, tanks, and fighters, although they are working together with other European countries now to develop the next generation of tanks and fighters. Their most modern fighter aircraft today is the Dassault Rafale. This is a very capable and modern fourth-generation fighter, rather than a fifth-generation fighter. Sometimes owing to its advanced systems like its integrated infrared search and track, IRST, targeting systems, it is called a 4.5-generation fighter. The Dassault Rafale is perhaps one of the latest fourth-generation fighters to have been designed, as the world is now focused on developing fifth- and sixth-generation fighters. The Dassault Rafale is providing a great fighter and has a lot of potential export customers around the world. Here is everything you need to know about the Dassault Rafale, the advanced French fighter. The origin of this aircraft dates back to the 1970s, when the French Air Force and Navy were looking to replace their aging fleets as well as consolidate them. We have seen the U.S. military attempt something similar with this F-35 program. The Rafale first flew in 1986 and came into service much later in 2001. It was meant to enter service in 1996, but with the end of the Cold War and the ensuing budget cuts, it was much delayed. It is unusual for a European country to completely build its own advanced fighter jet. The Dassault Rafale is a delta-wing fighter and is intended as a multi-role aircraft for both Air Force and naval operations. Its name literally translates as gust of wind, although in a military context the nuance is more burst of fire. It has been designed to fulfill a wide variety of missions including air supremacy, interdiction, aerial reconnaissance, ground support, in-depth strike, and anti-ship strikes. It is even designed to carry out limited nuclear deterrence missions, a role mostly reserved for the B-52, B-1 Lancer, and B-2 Spirits of the U.S. Air Force. The Rafale was designed to be able to have a very large amount of agility. In fact, it is designed to be so aerodynamically unstable aircraft that it needs to use digital fly-by-wire flight controls to artificially enforce stability. Less stability translates as greater maneuverability. As it is intended for carrier-based operations, it has a reinforced undercarriage. While the aircraft does have a reduced radar cross-section, it is not a stealthy plane. It is very difficult to build stealthy aircraft, and they are very expensive, demonstrated with the Air Force announcing the early retirement of the F-22 Raptor. Since coming into service, over 201 have been built, most of which for the French military. The French Air Force, technically the French Air and Space Force, reportedly has some 102 Rafales in service. This is now their most advanced fighter jet in service today. The French Navy has 44 Rafales in service. They operate from France's only aircraft carrier, the nuclear-powered Charles de Gaulle. The Charles de Gaulle can carry between 30 and 40 different aircraft. Also, the Rafales are fully compatible with the American carriers, so on occasion, they have operated from them. The Rafale has seen some combat history, although mostly in French service. In 2011 they took part in the Western intervention in Libya, who just a couple of years after Libya had been looking at buying the Rafales. They have also fired their payloads in anger in the French intervention in Mali and again at ISIS targets. These included Rafales flown from the French aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle. So far they have been used in very one-sided operations. Time will tell if we will ever see them in a dogfight on equal terms. Operators of the Rafale include both the French Air Force and the French Navy. It has also been exported to a few countries around the world. The Rafale is competing in export with other American, like the F-15, F-16, F-35 and F-18, and European warplanes. These include Egypt, Qatar, India, and Greece. Egypt has ordered 54, Qatar 24, Greece 18, and India 36. The Rafale is still a new aircraft, so more orders could come in from around the world. In some countries, the Rafale has lost out in bidding to the American F-15 or F-35 fighters. Depending on the variant, the Rafale has a crew of 1 or 2. It has a max takeoff weight of 54,013 pounds. It's powered by two SNECMA M88-4E turbofan engines with 50.04 kilonewtons, 11,250 lbf, of dry thrust each or 75 kilonewtons, 17,000 lbf, with the afterburner. It can supercruise at Mach 1.4. It has a combat range of 1.150 miles but a ferry range of 2,300 miles. It reaches its service ceiling at around 51,952 feet. The Rafale is very similar to the European Typhoon multirole fighter and the American Navy's F-18 Super Hornet. The Rafale is the generation, and now countries like America, Britain, Russia, and China are all working on bringing their fifth-generation fighters into service. The French, on the other hand, seem to have decided to just skip the fifth generation and are now working on a sixth-generation aircraft. Currently, France and Germany together with Spain are working on developing an advanced sixth-generation fighter. This fighter is dubbed the Future Combat Air System, and the first flight of a demonstrator is expected in 2025. We will see if these countries manage to work together or if they fall out. In summary, the Rafale is a great fourth-generation fighter and has been able to keep the French defense industry independent for another generation.